Hello and welcome everybody to the VooPlayer Q&A weekly webinar call. We're going to get started here in just a minute, but before we do, if you'll be kind enough just to confirm that you can hear my voice, as well as see my screen, which should say VooPlayer Q&A on it, and then we can get started. Thank you. Alrighty, it sounds like we have a few confirmations. Hello, Evo. Hello, Dean. Hello, Barbara. All right, so it seems like we have everything set up and ready to go. So before we get started, just a brief introduction. My name is Peter. I am the product manager of VooPlayer, and we are holding these Q&A calls in order to answer any questions which you as users may have, also to provide any training needed on advanced features of VooPlayer, also to gather feedback from you guys as users on how we can keep improving VooPlayer, and finally to showcase the new stuff that we've been working on in the VooPlayer team, so that you're up to date with all of the different ways in which you can leverage VooPlayer. So the format of the webinar is pretty straightforward. At any time that you feel that you have a question, or if you've came prepared with some questions that you would like answered, just drop them in the chat box and we'll answer them in the order that they come in. Don't be shy. We have all types of different questions, and we provide some basic training, and we also address some really advanced concerns. So any questions which you may have, now would be a good time to start dropping them in the chat box. All right, excellent. Until questions start arriving, there are a few things which I wanted to cover. All right, the first thing, based on some recent feedback that we've gathered through this webinar in particular, in addition to the feature that allows you to simulate the live conference of your videos in order to be able to schedule evergreen conferences and recurring conferences on daily basis and so on and so on, a lot of people have asked for an ability to further customize the text and titles which appear in the conference, possibly to translate them to different languages, as well as to include particular content at the end. And with the new release of VooPlayer, which I believe came out today, so it should be rolling out to everybody over the cloud, if it's not already available at your location currently, is the ability to, aside from being able to customize the welcome screen completely, we've also added now the ability to customize the ended screen of what happens when the conference has ended. So once the conference has been completed, you are now able to customize the text as well as the full HTML if you want to insert links, images, and so on when the conference is finished. Without going into too many details about this feature, as you probably heard us talk a lot about it in the previous webinars, you're able to schedule a conference so it looks like your video is a live conference. Also, on that note, would like to follow up on another bug which we've identified, which was happening due to, if you don't want the number of simulated attendees to appear in the call, you can just leave this completely blank. So we fixed that bug where if you did not specify a number of simulated attendees, now nothing is going to show up when the conference is being viewed. So that was one point of feedback which we've gathered throughout the last couple of calls. and we were able to implement that in this release. Aside from that, no major updates for the new release. As always, there are some slight performance enhancements which we were working on. So we were able to compact the player size to be a little bit smaller, but I think maybe 20%. It's not a tremendous enhancement, but every little millisecond counts. So we were able to optimize the loading performance of the video player on your web pages a little bit. So that's one of the things that's also available in the new release. That's just a small part of what's coming in 2018 as far as the enhancements to performance are concerned. We have a lot of major enhancements, and as a teaser, I think we were able to increase the speed of the initial video load by approximately 60 to 70% faster first load of the video, and it's a really big change. So it's going to require some testing in the future for us to make sure that everything is as it should be. But it's one of the big things that we're working on. So that should be rolling out in the next couple of months. So bear with us as we just make sure that everything is okay with that new method for supporting videos. Also, just wanted to touch on one more thing from the previous webinar. We've introduced, as a lot of people have asked for, an option to be able to specify the orientation and the aspect ratio of your embedded players. So once you're generating the code for the embedded players, we have recently introduced an option for you to be able to customize the orientation of your players. So if you don't want it to be in landscape mode and you would rather switch it to portrait, you may now do that simply by just coming over here to publish it on any video, and generate an embed code by turning on the custom aspect ratio and orientation option. And then you can specify different ratios, such as HD, widescreen, standard definition if you want your video to appear as a square, and so on and so on. And then you may specify the orientation of it. So that's one of the also new things which have been added. We had a couple of prepared questions for the webinar which came in. So I'll just go ahead and start reviewing those until some come through the chat. So let me just pull that question up. So Richard wanted to know if I use Vimeo or YouTube links with VooPlayer, is there still a Vimeo YouTube analytics tracking ID on your video within the VooPlayer iframe? My issue is that their tracking IDs can mess up my own analytics data, as the website is only supposed to have one analytics tracking code. Vimeo only allows you to remove their tracking if you are on their Pro plan, unsure about YouTube. So that's an excellent question, and that can be troublesome if you have different analytics running on your web page. So what the question is in a nutshell is, if I come over here and utilize, let's say, a YouTube video, and same applies to Vimeo and Facebook, and I just grabbed a video and I want to use it in VooPlayer. So I'll just paste this URL over here, and I'll just go ahead and create that video. So that's going to be my VooPlayer video now. So the question is, if I use this video from YouTube inside of VooPlayer on my own web page, will that utilize YouTube's analytics or Vimeo's analytics or Facebook's analytics or the analytics of any respected provider whom's links I am using? The answer to that is simply no. And the reason for that being is that we are not utilizing their players. So we're not in touch with the YouTube player, we're not in touch with the Vimeo player, we're not in touch with the Facebook's video player. What we are actually doing is, based on the link which is provided, such as this YouTube link or any other link, is we're going after the source file for that video, meaning that we are targeting, to simplify it a little bit, is we're just targeting that MP4 files, and that we're just extracting that MP4 file and streaming it directly into VooPlayer, meaning that no functionality or no additional scripts that any of the providers are using are going to be present on your web pages once you load up those videos through VooPlayer. So hopefully that answers that question. Let's see, we had another question. The question is regarding the subtitles feature. The subtitle settings available on VooPlayer for viewers are excellent, and the default setting is reasonable for most situations, but most viewers will likely not like to fiddle with settings for subtitles if clearer subtitle format is available. Question 1, could we have facility to set up our own subtitle default settings for each video? And question 2, could we have ability to edit language shown on player CC controlled, just shows as PT and EN for Portuguese and English, I'm assuming, for my video, and would like to see languages named. Thank you for your ongoing developments. So let me just grab a subtitle file from somewhere so I'm just able to demonstrate this a little bit. So sample subtitle VTT file. Should be able to find one pretty easily. So I think this video has a subtitle. Let me just grab it. Should be this one. Yep. I'm going to just save it on my desktop. So it's going to be, let me just save that. And I'll just load that up as a subtitle inside of VooPlayer. So I'll come over here to options, style, and then where are subtitles? Subtitles should be in options. Let me just check on something really quick. Just 1 second. Because I believe we're not able to add subtitles to YouTube videos. So YouTube videos, because they're coming from an external source, we're not able to add subtitles. Yeah, so here we go. So if I come to options on an uploaded file, subtitles could only be added to uploaded files. So if I come over here to uploaded file, and I'll add that subtitle file, and just let me find it where it is on my computer. Sorry. It is on my desktop, so I'll just add it here. And this is in English. And I'll just save that as a language. And I'll go ahead and save the changes to my video. And I'll also come over here to watch this video. So the question is referring to the subtitle settings. So let me just get the subtitles up. Actually, I didn't turn them on by default. So here are the subtitles. So the settings which are available for customizing the subtitle appearance are really, you can basically do anything by making the text smaller or larger, changing the transparency in the colors, and so on and so on, with regards to the customization of the subtitle files. So the first question was with regards to, could I make this my default style if I wanted? Currently, that function is not supported within VooPlayer, but I see no reason as far as why wouldn't we want to add that. So that's definitely something that we'll add to, our to-do list for just, we can just add an additional option into here for you to configure the default settings. So that's definitely something that we're going to include in one of the future releases, but it's not available currently. Also, the question with regards to, could we customize the shortcode, the ISO shortcode for the country to something else? Also, the answer is currently no, but no reason as far as why shouldn't we be able to do that. So that's definitely something as well that we're going to be adding in the upcoming releases. So the ability to specify the default appearance for for the subtitles to be as any style you want to, as well as the ability to name the languages yourself are definitely upcoming in the future releases. William is saying, will you guys make the subtitle VTT settings work directly in VU Player? So I'm assuming William is referring to the subtitle settings, which could be embedded in the VTT file itself. I would want to say that should be supported by default, but I'm not sure that it is. So I will investigate that and follow up on that. But if I'm not mistaken, any settings which are embedded as meta inside of the files themselves should be supported by default. All right, let's see if we have any other questions. So those were the questions which came in before the webinar. We reviewed what was done in the previous week as enhancements. Let's see, and in the chat we have no additional questions. If you are new to VU Player, we really want to welcome you to VU Player and make VU Player as easy, as intuitive as possible for you to use. So aside from questions, we are also welcoming any feedback that you guys may have as far as how you are getting accustomed to VU Player. What are some suggestions which you may have for us to optimize that onboarding experience for new users? So you don't have to ask a question if you just have any sort of a feedback on anything that you think is good or bad about VU Player. We are always more than open to hearing it. So let us know if you have any feedback or questions which we can address. Aside from that, I'll just if no additional questions come in, we can wrap this up call a little bit early today. But I would also like to mention that with 2018, all of the holidays have finally wrapped up, so we're back in gear as with regards to developing new features. Towards the end of 2017 and the beginning of 2018, we weren't in full speed development mode with regards to new features, but now we're kind of back on track, and we started implementing a lot of that stuff that we discussed as plans for 2018, which is of course an ongoing effort throughout the entire year. So a lot of new exciting stuff to come down the pipeline in the coming weeks, months, maybe even years, who knows. Performance enhancements, stronger integration, better ways to provide support to you guys as users for any questions which you may have throughout the application, and so on. So that's all something to look forward to in the coming webinar calls as we start reviewing all of that. All right, let me check once more. No questions. All right, cool. We can wrap this call a little bit early today. That hasn't happened in a while, but okay. Hopefully next week we're going to have more questions which we can address. So I just want to thank you, everybody, for joining today and taking your time. Hopefully we'll see you next week, and thank you for helping us improve VU Player even further. All right, thank you, everybody. Bye.